dogs. Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Clint. I'm Mystic Valley Designs. I airbrush custom model horses. So here's what we're doing today. We're working on a 1/6 scale model. This is a 3D resin. The name of the resin is Rattlesnake. A woman in England printed this. So anyway, here's what's going on. We've prepared the model, painted it, got a base coat on it, body color, all that neat stuff. Today we'll be painting hooves. And these will be relatively natural looking hooves. You know, he's got white socks, so the genetics of a horse with white socks dictates, the dogs are going at it. The genetics of a white hoof dictate that the hoof itself is pretty much the color of your nail. And you know, it's a horse, so obviously it's going to have dirt on it. It's a large hoof, so it's going to have marks and striations and grooves and stuff like that in it. So we'll render that naturally. And then back here, he's got this will turn into a black hoof. And I say black, it'll be a really dark gray with, again, stripes and striations and stuff, things like that to make it look or appear natural. So to paint a hoof, I'm going to use 3 different colors. I have a color pre-mixed, just simply called hooves. And it's a warm reddish tan. That'll be the primary color, the base color. I've got something else called, I don't even know what it's called, just custom dark brown. There's the formula. Brown, black, and red in it. And just simply a dark brown. That'll add my striations and banding, so to speak. And then if I need to add even more depth to it, just simply plain old black. And that's a custom black with a lot of medium in it. So it's not, you know, pure black straight out of the bottle. It's cut down a lot with medium. So it's almost a transparent black, or a translucent black anyway. So I'll show you, I'm going to start off with something big so you can get a better view of what I'm doing. This is not my paintbrush that I would paint a hoof with, but this is how I'm going to do a demonstration for you. So the first thing I do is dip half my paintbrush in that base coat of tan. I dip the other corner in the darker color. Listen to these dogs. Okay, so now I've got a brush with 2 different colors on it. And I start at one corner of the frog and work around the hoof. And I always lead with the dark color first, so the light color can come over and bury it, so to speak. In my opinion, it just makes it look a little more realistic. So I've got a card here. I'm just simply going to put some stripes on it. Here, I'm going to run the camera down to make you all seasick. And here's what we're really doing. You know, pretend this is your hoof. So we're going to start like that. That's your first stroke. Then we're going to move over just a little bit. Reload the paintbrush. And you've got a pretty realistic looking model going on there. Reload the paintbrush, more dark. And there's your hoof. Now, when I paint a hoof, that sunlight's just killing me here. I get rid of my brush. I'm done with that one for the demonstration. To paint a hoof, this is a 1/6 scale, so it's really huge. On a traditional scale, I will use an extremely coarse, cheap brush. And here's what I'm using, if you can see that. And the reason I do that is I use each of these individual hairs to push paint up to the coronet band. And when you have hair coming down over the coronet band, it's realistic to see individual hairs at that coronet band. And a cheap, coarse brush creates that effect for me, does it automatically. Some people will come in here with a micro brush and you draw individual hairs. That's great. It looks good. I can do it this way a lot faster, and I think it looks very, very good. So here's what we're going to do. I'm I'm going to take this brush, and this here, you can use a fingernail as a comparison there. You know, that's how big that brush is. You know, it's 3 or 4 millimeters wide. Probably pig bristle, maybe sisal. I don't know what the fibers are, but the point is it's a really cheap brush. So here's the before, after, or before picture. And we're going to be working on these two right here. So I'm going to load up the entire brush in tan, palette it off just a little bit, and then in one corner, about 1/3 to 1/2 of the brush, I'm going to add in that darker color. And I'm going to start way in the back here, and I'm going to lead with that darker color. And if you notice, I'm pushing that paint up in there towards that coronet band and then drawing it down. And an inexpensive brush like this gives me individual hairs and what would normally be, or what would appear on a normal hoof, to be the grooves and marks that you would see on a horse's hoof. And there you go. Now, it's not done by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to put in, you know, more lines, more bands, more colors. So we're going to go back in with this darker color. And just simply add some variations to it. Palette off our brush. Come back in. You see how dark that is now. Way overdone. So we're going to come back in and make things appear more natural. There. There's what we're looking like now. And then, you know, we've got to do the back end of the hoof, the frog and the sole and stuff like that. That'll be done with a different type of brush. Get that in front of me here. Here we go. Much smaller brush, more detail, more control. And again, we're going to start off with just simply that tan color and go in there to the sole and the frog, the plate. One time, years and years and years ago, I had a horse bend a shoe, and the shoe was still nailed on, but it was, you know, half of the shoe was hanging off. So I had to play farrier for the day and pry off 2 front shoes. And that taught me a valuable lesson. My farrier is worth every penny that I pay him. You could not pay me enough to be a horse farrier. So whatever my farrier charges, I pay him willingly. So in doing so, you learn about the structure of a hoof. And the frog, it's a spongy material like chitin, like your fingernail. And right beside it is a dark band. And so that's what I'm putting in right now. I hope you can see that hoof right there. And this is not done yet. This is not what the final version is going to look like. But the point is, I'm laying down the colors that I want where I want. And we'll make it look better in a moment. But, you know, you need to dirty up that hoof, so to speak, to make it appear more natural. We're going to go in with just a touch of black back into that frog, that groove. Okay, there's what the front of the hoof's looking like. And If you can see that, that's what the underside is looking like now. Now I'm going to hit it with a heat gun. It's not dry yet, but that's how I prepare a hoof. Now, it looks good now, and it could pass for a good hoof. But we're going to do something a little bit better. I'm going to fire up an airbrush, and that custom color I had, called custom brown or dark brown, something like that. We're going to put that into an airbrush. Oh, we don't even have an airbrush. Hold on. Okay, I've got a 0.0 here that I'm going to fire up and get it connected. There we go. Got air pressure. Unwind this thing. And what I'm going to do right now is put some dirt on that hoof. So in goes the dark brown. Now, here's what the hoof looks like now, and it's not bad, but I can make it look 10 times better in about 5 seconds. So I've got my airbrush loaded up with that dark brown color, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mist around the bottom of the hoof, all around the front and on the sole. Now, I don't want to do the entire hoof, just the bottom part where it would be naturally muddy or dirtier, and then the sole, of course, also. Now, there's what that hoof looks like after I've touched it with an airbrush. And in my opinion, it looks a whole lot better. Much, much more natural. So I'll do the same technique with the other hooves. The black hoof will be mostly here. I've got a custom color mixed up called black hooves, and there's the formula. It's mostly medium, so it's largely transparent or translucent. White, brown, and black in descending order of quantity, and that makes a medium gray, a dirty gray color. And that'll be the base color of my black hoof. And then where I was using tan and dark brown on this, I'll be using this and black as the two hoof colors on my paintbrush. The other thing I want to touch on is something called an ermine spot. Occasionally, where you have a white sock, you will have a black dot of hair or color right above the coronet band, and that will genetically cause a black streak to grow down through the hoof. And that's where you would use this type of brush, dip it into the dark, and just simply draw a very dark streak down the hoof, blend it in so it softens the edges. Then you'll come back with your airbrush or even colored pencils or pastels, and you will put an ermine spot or a black spot in the hair right above the coronet band. And so that's how I handle something called an ermine spot on a white sock and a white hoof. So it's just simply a dot of black and a streak of black following underneath of it. So anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. My name is Clint. I'm Mystic Valley Designs, and this is how I usually do a hoof on a model. So thanks for tuning in. Take care and peace out. Bye now.